Welcome to the Pillow Fright Podcast. I'm Elissa.
I'm Kay.
And I'm Emma. And we are your three besties here to chat about news, reviews, and all things horror.
It's a new month, which does mean a new theme. And this month we are going to be diving into all things psychic, metaphysical, and the occult.
I'm getting a sense that this is going to be Mystical May.
But before we get into our very first movie for this theme, let's chat about what is going on in horror. What do you got?
Oh, you guys, I got one that sounds like an April Fool's, but it's not. Nicolas Cage
Done.
is, yes, done. We're all there. He is set to be in a Jesus-based horror movie where he plays the carpenter with FKA Twigs. It's like about a family. Let me fucking read this stuff. The carpenter's son tells the dark story of a family hiding out in Rome, Egypt. The son, known only as the boy, is driven to doubt by another mysterious child and rebels against his guardian, the carpenter Nicolas Cage, revealing inherent powers and fate beyond his comprehension. As he exercises his own power, the boy and his family become the target of horrors, natural and divine.
Did you write this?
No, this is the official synopsis of the movie.
I feel like
Put out by Deadline.
Nick Cage is coming into his power. Like, he's slowly controlling the industry, and I am 100% okay with it.
You know, I once saw him do an interview where he said he wanted to be the Hollywood Klaus Kinski. And I really feel like that's something he's manifested.
I love this man so much.
I would die for him.
I would die for you, Jesus the carpenter.
Oh, God.
Cage.
So, yeah, I don't know what I think about this movie, but I am definitely interested to see how it unfolds. So what news are you bringing?
Speaking of small things? No, that was weird. Speaking of children? No.
Small things.
So I just finished watching Chucky. The third season just finished on Peacock/Sci-Fi Channel. And this season took place in the White House for the main plot line. It had a pretty long break in between. It's like winter break and just completed this last week as the time of filming. So this season I kind of feel like it went off the rails, but then like this is Chucky, so like how does Chucky go off the rails? Because it was already like out the train track, it's in the middle, it like took the train into the ocean, like this Chucky just does whatever Chucky does. But this season I'm just like, oh, okay, we're going there. For anyone who hasn't seen it, I'm not going to say spoilers, but I will say they delve a little bit more into the supernatural, because there's always been the occult with Damballa and all that, but now it's like more of the supernatural realm outside of just Chucky. If anyone saw like the commercial at the end of Chucky, outside of the episode, it's Chucky at the White House, like in the Oval Office behind the desk, Chucky for president, and he has like a number that's on the screen, and he's basically, I'll actually read what he said just because it was really well done. Tonight, I am proud to officially announce my candidacy for a fourth consecutive term. During donations to my campaign can be made directly to the number you see on your screen. And if you have any doubts at all, I ask you to please consider the many accomplishments of my hugely successful third term, which they've done in other seasons where they basically do like a kill wrap up. And so that was how they did their kill wrap up this season, which is great. It's nice to, relive the good moments. But the number on the screen, you can actually call it, and it's basically trying to get their fourth season because it hasn't been announced if it
no,
is
they
going
do
through.
not have a contract.
Ooh, which I don't love.
So what's that number?
Oh, so that number, if you want to call, it's 1-201-500-3347. So
What does that actually spell out? I want to know.
Does that spell out
it has
something?
to. It's Chucky. It has to.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
Well, then you're fired.
I mean, Brad Dourif has recently announced that he is retiring from acting except for Chucky.
Wow.
Not saying, I did say like that he'll continue working with Don Mancini. It didn't say in what capacity. He's already had his daughter doing a lot of the acting, which, well, she looks amazing as him.
Great.
Having, of course, having Jennifer Tilly, because you can't have Chucky without Tiff. And she's frankly my favorite part of the show. Like, this is what introduced me to Jennifer Tilly. I mean, I guess our childhood me remembers her from Liar Liar, but not in the same sense. Okay, I will rephrase. I was awakened by Jennifer Tilly in Bride of Chucky.
You mean it wasn't Bound?
I was going to say, that was it for me.
That was it for a lot of people, but her walking across the screen to Living Dead Girl in that dress after, like, slitting someone's throat with a nail file, like, I was like, you're everything I want to be in life, but also, like, I don't know if I want to be you or be with you, but I'm pretty sure that's the point.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
It's definitely both.
That's just something about this show. Like, every season, the team that they've had has done such an amazing job. The visuals are great, and it's like a great level of camp. So I want a 4th season. I want it, like, where do you go from the White House?
He goes back to space is exactly where he goes.
Chucky. I mean, I would watch Chucky in space. I mean, it didn't work too well for Jason.
I mean, Chucky Space. Yeah, we get Angela Bassett because she's a crossover because she was with Brad Dourif in Critters 4. Hi. Oh, that's like, everyone should know that. And I think that she should be in space. All the space actors should go to space with Chucky, I think.
But yeah, I want a 4th season. Call the number. I will call the number. Everyone call the number and get us a 4th season on Sci-Fi.
Tell him Chucky in space.
So what do you have, Elissa?
You know, I'm admittedly not great with keeping up with news, but one thing did stand out to me for a couple different reasons. Mike Flanagan, who is the MVP right now, he is one of the greatest horror directors in my opinion. He has been tapped to direct, and I don't like uttering this sentence because I have so many thoughts about it, but the new Exorcist. It's a trilogy.
The sequel.
The sequel from Belieber. The Exorcist
Belieber?
Justin Belieber.
Is
what I call it. The Justin Belieber. The Exorcist Belieber.
The Justin Bieber version of Exorcist.
I just...
Oh,
anyway.
So David Gordon Green is out?
I think he might be. I mean, I
wonder if Flanagan will continue with what David Gordon Green was going to do, or if he's going to do his own thing. I feel like he's got to.
What was he going to do again? I forgot.
From all I've read, he was going to continue this trilogy that he started with Believer. But I'm assuming if Flanagan is stepping in, he's going to bring Carla Gugino and Kate Siegel and...
Oh no, so mad about seeing them on screen more.
I don't know how he has the hottest people. He's
married to one of them. What a lucky duck. He has the best life.
Yeah.
He really does. And he's so talented.
Blumhouse spent so much money on that IP that they've got to do something with it. And I think Flanagan will do something that definitely makes us cry. Because that's what he does. I would watch it.
I mean, if they're going to put it out to the world for consumers to consume, I would rather have it be in Flanagan's hands. I'll just say that.
Yeah, so have you guys watched anything this week? Anything good?
Nope.
Nope is a great movie.
Nope is a great movie. I did finish Them, The Scare. I think that even though it was different directors for a lot of the episodes, it was very cohesive. They still followed the same vibe. Absolutely beautifully executed. Highly recommend season 2 of Them.
I watched Abigail. It was fun. I wouldn't say it's going to be my best movie of the year, like my favorite movie of the year. I watched that. I saw that From season 3 is coming back.
Yeah.
What else? I watched Monkey Man, which fucking ruled. Like, Dev Patel directed and starred in it, and it kind of felt like a modern, elevated version of like a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Okay.
I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it was really, really fun. It was very gory, very violent, and honestly, Dev Patel is kind of a badass.
He's hot.
Oh, so hot. Oh my god. That's one of those, like, I watched it for the plot.
Definitely watched it for the plot.
But yeah, highly recommend that one too.
I watched The Circle. The new I'm almost done with it. I'm almost through the season. Not my favorite season. The drama is not fun drama. I'm sorry, I got
for a second I was like, is this a horror movie about...
Well, there is a horror movie called Circle, which is actually pretty good. But no, this is
She's
The Circle.
The Netflix unscripted situation.
Netflix's The Circle.
Imagine that, but with like horror characters. Like,
I actually thought about how fun, like, Emma, would you go on with me and we bring Eddie and then we just like troll everybody, and when somebody says something like politely not nice because it's a show, you're like, fuck them, and then you get kicked off the show.
I would just be like, I'm going to come to your cubicle and fight you. You
I'm gonna knock on every door here. I'm gonna bust through your door.
Violence.
If you don't know what it is.
No, I don't know. I'm saying you're terrified.
It's like
you should watch it.
It's basically like a bunch of like influencer reality wannabe people all in different like hotel rooms and talking to each other on fake social media. And it's
a strategic social media game.
Trolling?
On paper, it sounds terrible.
Yeah.
The dialogue sounds terrible. It's not for people like us. We're old, but I find it fascinating. Anyway, back to horror.
Back to horror. And then apparently, I haven't seen it yet, but I saw that TV Glow is doing a limited run in theaters right now.
It is. It's on my list.
Yeah, I really want to see that. It's another A24.
It is another A24, and from what I'm understanding, it's getting compared to Donnie Darko a lot.
Ooh.
Yeah, but it also has like, from the trailer, it looks like it has like a lot of like liminal space horror. What's the word I'm looking for? Like
the back rooms.
Yeah, kind of, or like different subgenres of liminal horror, like, you know, the kids' party place and atmospheric, and so I'm looking forward to seeing it. I like the filmmaker's first movie, so we'll see. Hopefully next week when we talk, I'll have seen it.
Yeah. Maybe I want to go see it too, so we can talk about liminal horror, because those games freak me the hell out.
Elissa, this is basically your month. Like, you're very spiritual and you're a tarot reader.
I am, if you can't tell.
How did you get into all of that?
I've actually... So, it's going to make me sound so great and not woo-woo at all. But that's okay.
It's LA, so...
Well, here's the thing. I was I'm an intuitive empath. And I've been since I was a child. Just ask my family. There was proof. So yeah, I've always just been an intuitive person. My family, I think it might be an Italian women thing, because I think you're like this too a little bit. And my family's like this. Every woman on my grandma's side or my mom's side has psychic dreams. A lot of things happen when we have very vivid dreams. A lot of our passed on family members show up in our dreams. And because my dad passed, and he always shows up in my dream wearing this white polo shirt with these weird, tan khakis. And every time I talk to my sister and my mom, I'm like, hey, did you have a dream about dad last night? And they're like, yeah. What was he wearing? Polo shirt and the khakis. We literally have the same exact dreams about my dad. So that's how I know. Listen, everybody has their opinion. That's great. You believe what you want to believe, and others do. And so that's, I've always just been in touch with this since I was a kid. Tarot, I got fascinated with it as a kid as well. But since I was raised Catholic and I was always going to my grandma's house because my parents worked all the time, I think I got a tarot deck once when I was a kid, and I remember my grandma going, Elissa, that's the devil. She's like, no, you don't mess around with that. And so I was afraid ever since. So I didn't touch it until I was an adult again. And it was casual for me. I just kind of played around here and there, but I didn't get into it seriously until 2019. And then I thought, you know what, I connect to this. I actually really connect to this. And when I read for other people, it seems my intuition is just connected to the cards really well. And that just works for me. So I started doing it and reading for people. And then I thought, you know what? There's this thing going around the world that makes us shut-ins. And I don't like it. And I think I need to find ways to, fulfill my soul and my wallet. So I thought, why don't I just try and, for fun as an actor, I was like, let's just try a psychic line. Let's just fucking do it. Because that sounds hilarious. And I did. I worked on a psychic line for a while. It wasn't like it is in the 90s commercials, the 80s commercials. They're like, call now. I'll talk about your love life. I'm sure it is, but I did chat based. So I'm too scared to talk to people, because a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, people will be like, am I marrying my boyfriend 2 weeks from now at this time on this day? And then you have to say, tarot doesn't work that way. It doesn't predict the future. And then they hang up on you, or they give you a bad rating because you couldn't predict it for them.
Oh, gosh.
It got very overwhelming. And when you're a very empathetic person, you kind of sponge that in, and it took a lot out of me. So I stopped for a while, but I started doing it again in person, and I do a lot of events. I do a lot of private readings, and they seem to go well, I think. It's not scary. We'll get into it when we talk about the movie, but I have thoughts.
My mom, speaking of, Italian ladies and stuff like that, she read playing cards.
Whoa! How?
You'd have to look it up because I honestly don't know. The only thing I remember is like the 9 of diamonds was like the wish card. And it's like how you knew you were going to get your wish.
That connects to tarot. The 9 of cups is like that. That's so cool.
Yeah, she read and she laid them out like in like a big block, and she could read them, and she did it like people would come over to our house and get their cards read when I was a kid.
Well, the deck I had when I was younger looked kind of like this. It was in an orange box, and it had the card, and then in the corner it had the playing card, so you could use it. So it was like this kind of picture, like the picture with like the lovers or whatever, but then in the corner it was a playing card that attributed to it, and so you could use it as a playing card. I still have it, not the original one that I had as a little kid that's like back in Chicago, but I got another one because I was like, oh my god, like this is the one I had when I was a kid. And
why didn't you bring it?
Because I figured you had enough.
No, bring it next time because I want to look at that. That's
okay.
Really cool.
I also have I got a tarot card deck at a women's art like performance thing that was from Girls Drawing Girls, and every single card, full deck, every single card is drawn by a different female artist. And they're all awesome. So I'm like, no one used this. This is literally art. It just lives there.
That's what, I have my displays. I collect tarot cards because I'm obsessed with them. And I don't read with most of them, but they're just beautiful.
The guy online a few years ago that was making a tarot deck, like he's an artist. He was making one of like horror movies.
Yeah, and you could get like just one print of them.
Yeah. He was making the entire deck.
I looked it up and I couldn't find, and it's super expensive. I think it's out of print now. I have a horror oracle deck, but I don't have a tarot deck. I don't have one. My birthday's in July. They're so beautiful. I love the artwork on tarot too, because different art resonates with different people, and that's why some people can't connect to certain decks. So
interesting. Well, I guess that takes us into our movie of the week.
If you haven't guessed already, we saw a little movie that was released on May 2nd called Tarot. Yay.
So yeah, we all watched it in theaters this weekend. It's a Sony release, directed by Spencer Cohen and Anna Hallberg. They also wrote it. Well, they wrote the screenplay. Well, they wrote the adaptation.
They wrote
something. They wrote something.
Yes.
They wrote something. Yes.
So adapted and directed by Anna Hallberg and Spencer Cohen.
And just so you know, it's in the description, it's in the title, but we are going to start spoiler free, so you don't have to worry about that. And we will let you know when we are getting into spoilers. So don't worry, nothing's going to be ruined. And the spoiler free synopsis says, Tarot is a 2024 release written and directed by Spencer Cohen and Anna Hallberg about friends unwittingly unleashing an unspeakable evil trapped within a cursed deck of tarot cards. One by one, they come face to face with fate, racing against death to escape the future foretold in their readings.
All right, so guys, just really brief, what did you think?
I'll go last.
There were some cool things that I think we can get into in this episode. What about you?
Listen, if you know me well, you know I genuinely love not great things. I love just so bad it's good, the best of the worst. I love that type of thing. And a lot of times there's a lot of newer movies that can fit the bill. And I feel like this almost fit the bill. This almost was there. We'll get into it later. But I feel like if there was a couple things that were different, it would have been so fun. Bad is good. And I don't want to say the word bad, but I had trouble with it because I think I connected to the source material just a lot more than the average person. So I was trying to suspend disbelief. I do think there were a couple of good things about it. I think it's a great gateway horror for the younger crowd who maybe hasn't seen too many horror movies. I think it's for a PG-13, I think they pushed the limit a little bit, which was cool. It was pretty much Final Destination meets 13 Ghosts was the vibe that I literally wrote down in my notes. But yeah, all in all, it was definitely a January release. But it's not January.
I think they actually moved this movie up. I want to say it was supposed to be June. They moved it to mid-May, and then they moved it again to the beginning of May. I don't know what that means.
Was it to compete because there were other movies coming out, probably? But yeah, I mean, you can tell there was some energy put into it in certain aspects. Just not the whole thing. Yeah. And I'm trying to be polite, but maybe I shouldn't, because I may or may not have snuck some extra booze in here to talk about this.
Oh, Lord.
Well, I thought it was a fun movie that you go to see. Like, it's like, oh, it's the teenagers. They're celebrating something. They go to a place all together. Like, of course, so many films have done that it's a trope. It is Evil Dead. It's Cabin in the Woods. It's Truth or Dare. I kind of got that vibe from this movie a lot in like a nice homage sense, where I was like, oh, well, I like that. Oh, I love this. It's going to be one of those movies that just like I put on because like college kids or teenagers are going to die. I love having those movies existing because
no, it's true.
Can't get enough of that. That's good old murder.
Exactly. And that's why I think I was enjoying it to a point because I tried to suspend disbelief and I thought, you know what? I'm going to have fun with this. It's going to be one of those movies that is objectively not an Oscar winning movie, but you have fun with it. And I wanted so bad to keep that mentality and I couldn't. And I tried. I really tried.
I mean, it to me, I think it's quite forgettable.
Yeah.
I don't know if I will ever revisit it unless it's on in the background. Maybe we're not the demographic. I mean, we're not teenagers for real, just for pretend.
I think like for the casting, you could definitely see that because there was a lot of people that I was comparing it to. There's, how many blonde ingenues, even though our ingenue for this one was strawberry blonde, but like it still counts. And then you have the friend who's like smart and sexy, which I definitely thought was Avantika.
Yeah, I don't remember.
She's such a babe.
Avantika Vonda Napu.
I don't remember who they were.
I do.
Which one was Paige?
She's the smart one, but also like, I mean, they were all like, she's extremely pretty. I like that none of them really fit. Movies that we watch, especially in the 80s, everyone has like, you are the jock, you are the final girl, you are this, you are that. Like, you're the nerd. But this movie felt just more like people are multifaceted, and so they were multifaceted.
It's interesting. No, it's interesting hearing that viewpoint because I'm not a person who will never say you're wrong, but
apparently I'm wrong.
No. It's not about right or wrong. I did appreciate that they weren't just a bunch of just loathing, you want to just slap them across the face, they weren't all like that. They weren't all insufferable. However, I don't think they were human. they were, to me, I can't tell what's better for me to watch is insufferable or devoid of personality.
I think I agree with that. I was just like, there's no discerning characteristics about any of these people, like other than Spider-Man Kid.
Spider-Man Kid.
He's the only one who had any personality. Everyone else is just like, I'm so serious. And
it's not the fault of the actors, though. I thought the actors were great.
Yeah,
I really
cast.
liked the cast. I liked the actors a lot.
But it's funny because I actually thought that the character Paxton, Jacob Batalon's character, where you're like, he's the only one that had a personality. I was like, he's the one that I thought was the fakest out of all of them. He's the only one where I was like, well, that's not a person.
Watching it from an actor's point of view, I feel like, because we've seen him in other things, and he's a great actor. He's fun to watch. I just feel like he was trying so hard with the material that he was given, is what I saw. And bless everybody in this movie. I
thought the girl from Mean Girls was fabulous in Mean Girls. So it's kind of a bummer to see her not have as much to do here, but I look at it as the director must be the most likable dude because he gets great casts for his movies, regardless of what the scripts look like.
To tie it, maybe the reason that I thought he was over the top ties into the fact that you thought none of them had personality because he did stand out so much. So yeah. He was the only one whose the vibe did not match. Maybe if they all were at his level, mm-hmm. or if he was at their level.
That's what I wrote in my notes too, because I felt like I would have enjoyed it a lot better if they had his level of, this is slightly satire, slightly funny. I think if they went with that angle, it would have been a lot more enjoyable, in my opinion.
Just something. Like, I feel like everybody was so flat. Like, everybody was very serious, but also not exactly analytical about the position that they were in.
Things were kind of just brushed aside a lot, but that's not the fault of the actors. It's not the fault of the characters.
That goes right back down to the written page, my friends.
Well, for the behind the scenes people, because it wasn't just the people on screen we saw, there was a gorgeous set of tarot cards, which isn't a spoiler because
Right.
It's in
Tarot.
the trailer.
No, it's in the trailer.
The deck is beautiful. I want that deck. It's creepy as fuck, and I'm here for it. I loved it.
It like, because I've looked for a disturbing tarot deck.
There's a few
They
out there
exist.
I can recommend.
I know, and I want one. But you know, there's a very certain, it's the type of disturbing that would appeal to different people. So like, I really liked the swords, but then it looked like someone getting stabbed instead of just like a person chilling with a bunch of swords in them, which I was always like, that's not how you, okay, fine. But like, it's art, but I want the creepy deck. I loved that. And I think the artwork really reminded me of Babadook, but also mixed with like a little bit of scary stories to tell in the dark.
Yeah.
Very much.
I felt that vibe a lot with this movie in general, but the artwork for sure. Yeah.
Well, so that's one of the cooler parts of this movie is they tapped Trevor Henderson. You know, he's the Cursed Images guy. He's like a father of the creepypasta world. To create these characters, the look of them, not like the physical like makeup. And I believe that he did the tarot deck. He's got several very famous characters that he's designed. Don't tell me just here because everyone doesn't
I
know
can't
what
wait
to
to
talk
see
about.
them. No.
So people were very, very excited that he was involved, and like that was supposed to be like a little feather in the cap of this movie that gave it some promise. And for what it's worth, the tarot deck looks cool.
Yes.
The creature, like monsters, look really cool. I wish we'd seen a little more of them, or maybe some different camera work for them. But
yes,
I do think that the look is rad.
I definitely agree. I think the sound design was great, especially, I mean, if you see it in the theaters, your chair shakes a lot, and I'm not used to that because I always stay at home like a hermit, and I never go, the hermit card, and I never go out. So the sound design was great, especially for the monsters, and
yeah.
I wish we saw more of that because the movie was very, very dark.
I remember at one point it sounded like when the monsters are like surrounding, and I could hear that in the sound design, which, you know, you're going to get in a movie theater. You're not going to get that as much at home, but that is one of the, you know, there's perks and unperks, not perks of being in a movie
Right,
theater.
the unperks.
But being able to have that immersive sound is definitely one of them, no matter how great your sound system is at home, unless you have a sound system that's level.
Well, and you saw it, we're old people, and I own up to that, and I love it, and you saw it at like 9 a.m, which
9:50.
fascinates me. Oh, 50, okay, then it wasn't early. We are had lunch by then.
Because like, it's special. I needed to see it, and this was literally the last showing before we filmed.
And
so
the most surprising thing about it was you said that you weren't the only one in that theater.
I was not. Yeah, you're like 9:50 in the morning,
right.
and I'm like, I mean,
we saw it yesterday.
I saw it before Jeopardy, and
I mean, that's
before my shows were on.
I'm not a morning person, but I would wake up at that time to see a movie without getting these damn kids in the way with their lights.
I saw it Friday night. Sold out everywhere in LA, so we were in like the second row, and I shit you not, person on my side is on their phone, person on Brandon's side on their phone, and I'm like, you motherfucking kids, get off your phone.
That's why I don't go to the movies, but this podcast is challenging me to be a more patient person.
Look, I feel like the cinematic experience of seeing a movie in theaters is how some people feel about going to church.
Yep.
Like, I love it. Like, I'm a person who goes to the movies 3 times a week. The new Godzilla movie, there was a bitch on her phone watching TV on, like, the opening day of Godzilla. I'm like, why are you here?
I have ADD,
Go home,
and I
bitch.
understand having ADD and not being able to focus, but why go to a movie to bring your iPad and watch something else? Don't get me started. I already have enough to rant to.
My husband brings a laser pointer. Anyway, so moving on, I got one gripe that I've got to get out of my system. That ain't filmed in Boston, y'all. Like, as somebody who
The Boston gal.
who went to college in Boston, and you know, I grew up in New England, I was like, oh wow, Haymarket really got a makeover, and I was like, wait, what freaking college is that supposed to be? Because I think they're trying to make it Harvard, but that's just a bunch of, like, buildings. Like, that's not...
They're beautiful buildings.
That's Serbia, y'all.
Well, I mean...
they were beautiful buildings. I want to live there.
No, I do... Yeah.
For dorm?
I was going to say, the dorm... Is that what dorm rooms look like? Because
No.
I never lived in a dorm.
No.
it's ghostly and creepy, and I love it. And I thought,
that looked like a sorority house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she said, like, the girls.
Got it. I mean,
it.
It's okay. I think we all have our things.
I will say, I specifically the sorority house and like the use of this big open window, like visually, I understood the locations that they picked because I was like, oh, okay, this is great. How did you guys find this place to film? How'd you find this? Like, oh, this all looks amazing.
Bulgaria,
baby.
But I also didn't notice throughout the entire watching the film that it had a location. I just kind of thought this was generic college in generic town in some place that has forest within 4 hours. I remember now where they were like, oh, it's in the Catskills and all this stuff. And I was like,
that's the only time I was like, oh, okay. So that's where it's supposed to be.
So it has a location, but I don't think any of it was necessary. I don't think they needed to give us a location.
No.
I wish it was a fictional location.
It was, you know, when you're from somewhere and they're making a movie there, obviously you're a little more critical.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why can't it be Woodsboro? Why can't we have like a
I used to live in
city?
Woodsboro, actually. I lived in Woodsboro, Sonoma, California, bitch. I also wonder whatever town they were in, nobody exists. Nobody lives in that town except this cast. Did you notice that?
Oh my God.
Nobody lives in this town except for this cast and Todd. Oh, well, we'll get into that. But yeah.
Okay, good note. They got Joe Bishara to do music.
I had no idea.
He's such a lovely human. He's one of the most talented people in this industry.
Joe.
We love you, Joe.
Hi, Joe. We know you're watching. Duh.
No, you never watch us.
he's
like, oh, you bimbos. No, but honestly, getting Joe to do music for your movie is always 100% going to be a plus. Like, if you don't know who he is, he did Insidious, Conjuring, a lot of Mike Mendez's movies. He's the guy who's known for dissonant, spooky horror music.
Mm-hmm. He's also the lipstick demon.
He sure is. And he's the ghost lady or the witch lady from The Conjuring.
Wait. Oh!
I remember we saw him soon after that movie came out, and I was like, Joe, like, you scared me so much. Like, I knew that was you, but I'm so scared that you're, like, going to be, like, under my bed or in my closet. He's like, how do you know I'm not?
He's a great creature actor.
He rules. We love Joe Bullshit. No.
we love Joe Bullshit.
Love Joe Bullshit.
Joe Bullshit. We love you.
We love Joe Bishara on the Pillow Fright Podcast.
Add him to the list of people that we stan.
Yes,
we stan.
We should actually have a list.
We'll make a list.
Whiteboard list.
Oh, a whiteboard list of people we stan and other people who are like, nope.
Like with the X in the yearbook.
Our own fucking burn book of horror.
Okay, done. It'll be a special episode. Put it in the notes. These are the
remember.
Notes.
So this was an adapted movie from a book called Horoscope, I believe. But in researching it, like, the book actually sounds kind of fun.
I didn't remember it until I saw that it was an adaptation, and I don't, because I was Christopher Pike or R.L. Stein, so I didn't really expand that much, and
yeah,
I kind of want to get it. Does anybody have it?
I don't, but I love Fear Street books. I love Christopher Pike books, and it very much looks in the vein of those. And from, like, the little synopsis, like, you know how, like, when you go on, like, Goodreads, it gives you, like, a little paragraph. I was like, oh, one, this doesn't sound anything like the movie. And two, it definitely sounds like, you know, YA fiction from, like, the 90s. So I'm like, oh, my heart.
Nicholas Adams, where have you been?
And then, like, in further researching, Nicholas Adams isn't even a real person. It was, like, a pen name for several YA authors. So I guess the real author was a guy named John Peel.
John Peel, where have you been?
You're like, Emma, going a little too deep diving.
No, this is great. We need you. We need you.
Yeah, we love the deep
dive in many different ways.
I'm like the person in, like, the horror movie that's like, before the final battle, it's like, let's go to the library. So, like, I know I'm going to butcher his name. It's either Ellie or Eli Smolkin. And he was the DP for this movie, the cinematographer. And honestly, he was a cinematographer for one of my favorite horror movies of all time, Final Girls. And the camera work in that movie is absolutely incredible. This one is fine. But I'm excited to see him work more. I want to see more movies by him behind the camera. So
that was something that I was kind of excited about. Though I do feel like a lot of the kills in this, non-spoiler, are very similarly shot and reuse a lot of the same sound design. Like, why does every monster sound exactly the same?
That was a big peeve I had during the movie. The screeching, like that screech noise.
But cool that he's getting more work. I'm all for it. Oh, and last thing that I personally was just like, all right, you know, this movie I think had a $9 million budget and it made $10 million this past weekend.
Wow.
So
it did it.
She made his money back, for better or worse, you know.
You know, yeah,
Horror
it
is
did
alive and well.
Yeah.
I guess that's the positive you could take too
That
from
is
it, if you can find a silver lining.
You guys, I am trying to be so positive.
I think that's so far, knock on wood, theme for 2024, horror is alive and well.
Yes.
Horror is... You are just coming up with the best shirts for us, girl. Horror is alive and well.
Mark it.
Take a line from every episode now. So I guess, is that it for our spoiler?
Well, before we get into the spoilers, I feel like we need to have a little bit of an Elissa dead talk. Can you give us a little spoiler free? This is how tarot works. Maybe.
Are you sure are you sure you have time?
Yes.
We're gonna have
let's
to edit this for. I mean, specifically, what do you want to know? Because there's a lot.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that have an impression of tarot, whether it's wrong or right, but there's also a whole world, according to it, that they only touched on in a very specific way for this movie, and maybe a lot of other movies where they only touch on it in a way that serves the plot of the movie.
Yes.
So if you want to talk about how tarot is in your life.
I'll do my best, everybody. I'll represent for the tarot readers out there. Yeah, that's a peeve that I know other tarot readers and psychics and astrologers have a big peeve, and especially being in the horror industry and being such a fan, it's so hard for me to see. Tarot is obviously perceived as something scary, as something supernatural, and you don't want to mess with that. You don't want to go here. And that's not the case. Tarot reading is not scary. The amount of times I've had friends, like, because after trivia, I carry a little mini tarot deck in my purse, and I take it with me everywhere. And after we do horror trivia, Dead Right Horror Trivia, hi, Jared, we go to a bar afterwards, and I just end up just kind of shuffling my cards, reading for people, because you read energy off of people, whatever. I look weird. I distinctly remember there were a couple times where I asked if anybody wanted a card pulled, just to have a card pull. And both of them said they were scared. They didn't want to know. They didn't want the death card to pop up. I could talk about a whole episode about why it infuriates me to no end that movies perpetuate side note, I do get it. I get it's creepy. Ooh, the death card. It's so scary. And it makes me so mad that that's a plot device in everything. You always get the death card because, yes, the death card says death, but the death card is about transformation. It's about cutting a cord, releasing something, letting go of something, letting something die in order to move forward is what it means.
Like new beginnings.
Exactly. Like Friday the 13th, Part 5, The New Beginning. Jason pulled the death card on that one. Anyway.
So this month is going to be so rough for you. There's so, like, I'm thinking of the
movies, but are they?
I'm thinking of our slate, and I'm thinking that there's so much death card.
But the way that they use it, that's the biggest pet peeve I know a lot of us have, and it's what makes people afraid of it. Side note, if you're ever scared of a card, the Tower card is usually the one to look out for. But there are no bad cards in the tarot. I am here to set the record straight to everybody that tarot is not a psychic prediction. I'm going to look in the camera because I'm very serious. Which one should I look at? What's the serious one? Mine? Tarot is not a psychic prediction. It doesn't predict times. It doesn't predict places. It doesn't predict who, what, where, when. It's just a means of... I like consulting it as advice. It's... checking in. It's a guide. It sort of just helps you guide what you're feeling. It just confirms what's happening now and helps you from there, basically. So there's nothing scary about it. There's no bad card. There's no right card. Every card is there to serve a purpose and teach you a lesson to move forward on your life journey, basically. So that's where my problem comes in movies like that. And I was very scared that this movie was going to perpetuate that stereotype a lot. But this movie is the TikTok version of what tarot is. It's, you know, a lot of times when I say I'm a tarot reader, I'll get people saying, oh, on TikTok, I follow this person, which I follow YouTube people. I follow readers all the time because there's a lot of great ones. There's a lot of people who don't know what they're talking about. And there's a lot of scam artists out there who said they can predict your future. They can fix this hex. They can, you know, tell you you're going to get pregnant or have this legal battle, which you should never, ever admit to predicting. So if you ever do a tarot reading and they said they'll do that shit, wow, this talk can go for very long, so y'all just cut me off when you need to because...
Well, I think because it's about time we enter our late night spoiler zone.
The spoiler town.
Late night spoiler.
I guess for now, we'll just say we're going to enter spoiler town, spoiler zone. If you haven't seen this movie, turn this off, go watch it, and come back and join us for the rest of our talk.
Yep.
The spoiler zone.
Highway
to the spoiler zone.
Kenny Loggins, are you in the room with us right now?
Will you compose this for us? We'll give you $5.
That's all we got. That's all we got, sir.
All right, so
Why is this not reading?
here is the spoiler version of the synopsis. This movie follows a group of friends that somehow can afford to rent a giant mansion off Airbnb. Cool. They find a deck of hand-painted tarot cards in a locked-off room. After Haley, our main character, who just so happens to be this great tarot reader, gives everyone horoscope readings. I don't know what a horoscope reading is. Is that real? Just yes or
it's
no?
It's funny because sort of.
Okay. She gives them these astrology-based horoscope readings that gives insight, basically telling everyone how to live or die for the rest of the movie. Like, it's a beat for beat. Like, this is going to happen to you, and this is what you shouldn't do. But you're going to do it anyway, and that's how you're going to die.
You're going to do it anyway because you're a Pisces. You're going to run away.
Yes.
So you're going to die.
It's just so convenient that every card that they picked represented that sign in the zodiac for the most part.
Oh, yeah. It was very convenient. The villain of the movie is, they call her the astrologer. In the late 18th century, I don't know if that's right. You might have to fact check me. Served a Hungarian baron, and she would predict the future for him. After reading that the baron's pregnant wife was going to die in childbirth, the baron banished her and killed her child. That's so shitty of you, Baron. Yeah, sorry. Nobody should ever let me do this part. F you, Baron. The astrologer, driven mad by grief, unalives herself and curses anyone that uses the deck.
Yep, pretty much it.
Yeah,
No, that's pretty much it. I'm just very upset that
you guys, I was so good at school reports, I swear.
That's great. They just didn't give the astrologer a name, and that's what I'm not very happy about.
She's the old crone.
She's the astrologer because that's creepier than having a real name.
Well, she
like
was a peasant.
Beth.
She was a Hungarian peasant. But the Baron didn't get a name either. He was just the Baron.
You're right.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were, it's just they didn't know the exact lore. I don't think that they were like, fuck Karen. I'm not going to mention her name.
The astrologer Karen, okay, she didn't. She pulled the death card one too many times.
And then the Baron was like, I'm going to go to the manager about your child and have her unalived.
Like, listen, ma'am.
Yeah, that's not how that went down. But
in my head it is.
But so like the movie does start out, like we talked about earlier, the movie starts out with like group of kids going to celebrate something, which happened to be the redhead's birthday.
Ellie's birthday.
And they're all
Ellie
birthday. They go to they go and they're hanging out in the woods to start the movie, but it's like, we're camping. It's no, we're not. We actually went and rented this like super big mansion and for super normal cheap because only one person paid for it. And I was just like,
Someone's
God
dad.
damn it, I need these friends. But and then all of a sudden they ran out of beer. Oh no. And we can't go get it, even though, which like, I don't drink and drive, kids. But then they're like, we should just have someone deliver it. We're too far out in the middle of the woods to have anyone deliver. That's not how Uber works.
No.
Maybe in the Catskills.
Maybe in the I don't know. We're not on the East Coast.
If it's where rich people live, there is definitely a delivery service.
But I do support their choice to not go drink and drive to get more booze. I support that.
So yeah, they just start breaking and entering locked off rooms.
There must be booze somewhere. No, don't break into people's Airbnb parts just to find booze. You're gonna get banned.
If I was a college kid, I'd probably, because you're still a kid and you don't think about stuff, so I probably would have done the same.
That's fair. But yeah, so they like break in and find a whole basement,
another basement
of
basement
mythic
horror
stuff. So like to me, that was Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah. Very
let's find this basement that we shouldn't go down here. Let's go down here.
And then you have the stoner saying, "Are you sure?
Are you sure?" Well, no, it was the astrologer, the lead, who was like, "I don't know if we should be going there." Everyone's like, "Let's go through all these individual items. Why are these creepy? Oh, it's astrology stuff. I don't know. It's creepy. Let's go into the box with the pentagram on it."
I wrote a note. I literally wrote a note in my notes. I want to live in that basement. It was beautiful.
It was a cool basement, but like them walking around and touching individual things, I was like, this literally is Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yes,
it was
very much.
The box looked cool though. The creepy box. Don't touch creepy boxes. Don't open creepy boxes. Don't speak in Latin. And
especially if it's a pentagram in someone else's house.
But yeah, they're like just like going. They're like, oh, let's do this. Let's. I'm bored and we don't have alcohol. And so our other options are to like get high and watch a movie or play charades, they said. And then they were like, now let's do this.
Wait. Kids play charades?
No, she brought up like, this is way more fun than charades.
Oh, well.
And I was like, I guess playing with someone else's, breaking into like someone else's home.
Deck.
Yeah, and then playing with their creepy shit is definitely a good idea. Like, no. I mean, the modern day version is fuck around and find out, and that's essentially what they did. They fucked around, they found out, but it's also like, well, you kind of got that coming. So
true.
Don't break into someone's home that is so graciously letting you live there. I actually don't support Airbnbs in the least bit, but but also in the same sense, like you got what's coming to you.
Yeah,
and they did. They got it. What's coming to them many times.
But and she's doing these readings, and she's like laying all this shit out in a circle. Which I don't know if that's the real way to do that or not.
No, Ryan had he looked over and he laughed 5 times because within the 5 minutes of this whole thing, I sighed 5 times. I said 5 a lot. First off, you shouldn't touch other people's decks. Some people believe that it's a personal thing. You can use other people's decks, especially if you're reading for other people and you're reading for that person. Anyway,
don't touch other people's decks.
Don't touch my deck.
Sorry, every time you're saying it, I'm 5, and I was like,
are you kidding me?
You can't touch
all
other
like
people's
12-year-old boys. Like,
I also remember someone saying that you shouldn't buy your own deck, like it should be gifted to you.
That's something too. I really think it all comes down to personal preference and superstition. I thought that at first, but then, and I believed it because the gifts that I had, actually those decks I didn't connect to the most. So I like buying my own decks. That's just how it happens. But yeah, I honestly don't know if I'm sure that's a format for something, but usually there's the Celtic cross spread.
That's the only one I know.
3-card spread. I haven't heard of the circular spread, but I guess for cinematic purposes, it looks cooler. But the card in the center, there are spreads with the card in the center. The Celtic, like it connects the most. I just literally I close my eyes and whatever card flips out naturally, that's how I read the card, and that's what works best for me. So I've never heard of. Well, actually, this has the
I was like,
the circle,
over, huh?
But it's a design. See, it's an aesthetic choice. I feel like I don't. Correct me if I'm wrong. Any tarot readers, please school me because I've never seen that spread before.
Well, this spread in particular, and the way that she was doing it, was very connected to the zodiac because she was doing it by each of her friends was born in a different zodiac sign, and she had. Their reading was very specific to that. And I mean, I've had friends that have been like, I need to know the location and an exact time of your birth, and then I will tell you your zodiac. And then like all over TikTok right now, there's a big thing about like dressing for your Venus sign, for your most beautiful, or for your like aesthetic and all this stuff. And it's astrology is in, and people are using it in different facets of their life, but also it has been around forever. Like Chase Morgan, like original JP Morgan, had said that like that is the reason for his wealth was because of astrology.
I mean, yeah, astrology, true astrology is actually a real form of divination. It's a real form of, you can't call it science, but real true astrology, I've never experienced anything not accurate. Like it's the most accurate form as far as I'm concerned, but I always try to do my birth charts for all my friends.
Someone did mine and they told me that I was destined for great things. And I'm like, well, then why do I still live in an apartment in Van Nuys?
Because it's not your time yet. It's getting there.
Destined.
This is your journey. I'm going to do a reading for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's see. Can you demonstrate how this is actually done for us?
I mean,
should we do one?
All right. You pulled my leg. It just so happens that there are tarot cards out on the table.
I don't think pulled your leg is the right term.
Wait, isn't it?
No, pulled your leg means you're tricking me. I'm tricking you.
You pulled
Twisted my arm.
You twisted.
You pulled my leg.
You pulled my leg. You pulled my hair. You tapped my elbow.
We're getting into BDSM at this point.
You whipped my... No.
All right,
okay.
The collar's on.
You whipped me into submission. Okay.
Yeah, let's try that again.
Tarot reading, there's all these different readings, but for example, if you're just pulling like one card for a friend, a lot of times one card is, I'm going to move stuff over. A lot of times one card is great for like a check-in, I always say I'm going to move all this for the little demonstration, maybe move the mic a little bit here. So for example, is there anything that you'd like to know? Anything that you have a question about? Short term usually is best for one card.
Ooh.
And is there a deck that you'd like to This is the traditional Rider-Waite. It's these cards. This is a Halloween deck. So
okay, well, we're gonna go with the Halloween deck.
That's what I thought.
100%.
That's what I thought.
Maybe a question about like my time management's been really rough with like trying to get a lot of different projects completed all at once, and maybe this can offer some clarity about.
Okay, so something that can help you with time management. Another thing about the movie, too, while I'm shuffling, is that most of the cards that she picked were reversals. And I think because plot-wise, the curse was reversals, because in tarot, the reversal card is usually the inverse or like an extreme version of the upright card. I actually don't read in reversals. I used to, but I found that there's a lot more clarity in the upright because you could always, depending on... I always get one card, too. Depending on what the question is, you could always... interpret the inversal. So I always like to let the card fly out. The Ace of Ghosts. And ghosts are cups.
Look a cute little guy.
So the ace is it's kind of like they're seeds. They're seeds that are planted on your journey. The ace is the first in 1 through 10, obviously. And the Ace of Cups is literally just like a gift. Your cup is running over. Emotionally, you're fulfilled. Like things that you want to be doing are going, like things that fulfill your soul are going. And in terms of productivity, it's interesting because I think you're on the right track. You know what you want to do. The little ghosty is your emotions. It's like, I'm right here, yay. But with that, I would say in terms of productivity and time management, try to separate emotions and your personal beliefs or preferences aside from what, logic, what makes sense, because I know a lot of times emotions can deter production because you want things, but I feel so passionate about this, or, I want this. But a lot of times you have to kind of suspend what you want and think what would be best for you in order to move forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would be the Ace of Ghosts, but it's the start of something. It's the start of your journey. It's a great card.
Well, and I like that in the card, it looks like the cup runneth over. And that's how I feel right now.
That's what I always call this card when I do readings for people. It's like the cup runneth over. You are overflowing with emotion, with things that you're passionate about, you're happy about. And it's just about managing that water and turning it into a sword, which is air, more logical.
Okay.
So, yeah. And astrologically speaking, water is a water sign. So cups represent a water sign. So Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. Okay.
Which deck does Amma want?
Amma would want this one. Amma wants this one. Hey, Amma. Amma had to step out, but her stand-in is here. Stand-in Eddie. So, hey, Amma Eddie. She would be very okay with this. She gave me permission. She said to read her card. And so I will read a general card for her. So what is her... As of the time of filming, the premiere for Slasher Size is tomorrow night.
Yes, it is.
So what's in store for what's going on with Slasher Size? What's happening over the next week? Which I'm assuming that might be a big
Big week.
thing. So what's going on for Nope, that was not one card.
A lot is going on.
Actually, this could be interpretive of her having a lot of thoughts right now, a lot of things all over the place, naturally so. Okay, one card for Amma. I'm going to take that one. Okay, Amma, you have the Chariot, which is a great card for right now. The Chariot is a Major Arcana card. They talk about Major Arcanas in tarot. The Major Arcana cards are basically, they're the overall life journey. They're the bigger picture cards. They're things that are not necessarily in your direct control as much as the other cards, more up to the universe. And I actually see this with Amma very well, because the Chariot is about finding your own direction. You know where you want to go. You don't have a plan. There's nothing leading him. And I love this deck too, because it's a little pumpkin with a little cat. So that's little Eddie cat. That's little Amma's cat Eddie in the front seat. And I think you know where you want to go. You steal your own steering wheel. Wait,
you steal your own steering?
You steal it and you steer it. That is the energy. Steal and steer, baby. Steal and steer. So you know which direction you're going. You're going in the right direction, and you are in control of your own destiny. Biatch. That sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds pretty spot on.
Maybe I should read one for myself.
Are you going to do this deck, or are you going to do the other deck?
You know what? I'll do the other deck. So I just want to know what my general kind of energy, what my vibe going into the week would be. It's very hard to reading for yourself, because you'll see a card, and if it's not what you want to see, you're like, nope, next one. But this will be a good lesson in just paying attention. The Fool! Oh, Paxton, you're my boo. We both got the Fool. So the Fool, he kind of looks like Gacy in this picture.
He 100% looks like a Gacy.
This is Gacy. So the Fool in the tarot deck is the first card in the entire deck. It's card 0, because you're literally starting from 0. So in the movie, they talk about in the reversal. It's like, oh, don't, what did they say? It's the impulses. Don't act on impulses. But the Fool upright is basically taking that leap of faith, acting on that impulse. So the Fool is taking a leap of faith, just going for it. So I guess my energy this week is just saying, screw it. Don't think twice, don't think twice. Don't think about it too much. Just taking that leap of faith and going for it. It's very young, naive energy. So I'll be young and naive. That's where I operate best. I'll do a general reading for whoever wants one. If you don't, that's okay. You don't have to watch this. If you do, this message is for you. So this is just a general card pull for your weekend ahead. So what's the vibe for the weekend? General vibe for the weekend for you. Okay. So this is an instance where you'd think, oh, there's no bad cards. Is this a bad card? It's not. It's the 8 of Ghosts, which is the 8 of Cups. And the 8 of Cups, it's about having to walk away from something. So if you put a lot of emotional investment in something, if there's a project or anything that, you're at the point where like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to get anywhere further. This weekend, it's time to just walk away. Just say, you know what? Screw it. Not worth my time, not worth my energy. I'm just going to walk away. Move on. That's the 8 of...
He's walking towards it.
Eddie's walking towards the card because he's like, no, he's not ready to let go. He wants his food right now. So he's walking towards the card. But yeah, so that's the energy. If there's anything that you need to let go of, you don't want to put any more emotional investment into, any more time, this is your sign to just peace. Just walk out, be like, done. Need to do things for me. That might not apply to all of you. That might apply to some of you. But that was, by the way, if this resonates with you, please let me know, because I'm always fascinated by that. So if this does resonate, please leave a comment and let me know.
Do you guys want to discuss some of these deaths?
Yeah. Always in any horror movie, I always want to discuss the deaths. I only want to discuss the deaths.
Get your mouth on the phallic mic.
I don't know either of you.
So I actually paid so much attention to these, and I think that was actually the downfall of the movie for me, is that I paid too much attention to the deaths, and it was really, I picked them apart like a sandwich with a bad crust. Like, I don't know.
And there's only so much you can do with a PG-13 movie.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I don't want a death taking me out of it by going, no, that's not.
Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. What happened?
If that movie had one more fucking blood splatter on the lens, I was just like, woof.
Okay, that's actually not what bothered me. You know what bothered me, and I need to say, because I had a count of the number of times, and I didn't start the count until 3, and that 3 count started maybe like 40 minutes into the movie, so I was like, well, this is going to keep going, of the monster doing the scream while zooming into the lens. And after it happened twice within 2 minutes for the first death, and I was like, wait, one, you did it the first time, it was effective enough, but then you just redid it so soon, not effective. And then it kept happening, so I think my count was up to 8.
Yeah, I feel like every single death in this could have been so cool. And I think that they really, it's like, do the filmmakers even want to make a horror movie? Like, they're just like, okay, let's do it just like we did the last one.
Yeah, that was my biggest problem. And I really, truly do not say this as an insult to the writers, the directors. I genuinely wonder if they consulted ChatGPT for this, because it felt like it was all just what ChatGPT AI would think would happen.
Well, okay, so like, let's go death by death. First death is the ladder death, which, like, Final Destination, you can't have a ladder death without thinking of Final Destination. Yeah. And they did a great job where it was like is he gonna okay, it killed him. So they did that for this too, but in the sense where I was like, well, I know she's gonna die by this, so just like kill her already. But I didn't believe it in the way that it happened. That's where they kept on doing the scream thing at the camera, but at the same, and like, I thought she was creepy. I thought the demon was pretty creepy.
The high priestess?
Yeah, the high priestess. I liked her nails. I liked her, like,
her
metal.
Crown.
Yeah, her crown.
Yeah, she was serving.
She was
CGI?
cool.
Were they CGI or were
I
they?
think it was a mix.
Okay.
I think a lot of it was makeup, though.
They just need to
they had
more
a full team.
Like,
so
her face opening up, I feel like, was CGI enhanced, but I do believe that she actually had a mask on that was
cool.
her. I liked it changing, where like she looking down and she looks back up and it's candles everywhere. Like, that aesthetic was cool.
That was cool.
But they showed the ladder so much where I was like, okay, so obviously it's the ladder. Thank you, it's the ladder. Thank you for hitting me over the head with the ladder.
well,
And
it's
then they
literally
didn't hit her.
like in the thing that Haley says to Ellie about, you know,
Right.
ladders is in her prediction in her
On
tarot
the
reading.
nose.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this movie like literally lives on the tip of a nose. It's a fucking blackhead on the tip of a
From
nose.
the writing to literally the song choices.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Although I will say I liked one of them, but we're not at that death yet. Okay.
Like, I don't think that the first like throw down of that ladder would kill someone or maim them enough. Like, I'm just like, move, bitch, roll out of the way, get away from this stupid ladder.
Why did she not?
Get out the way. Get out the way, bitch.
off the ladder?
But also, yeah, she's crawling forward. She gets pulled back, but don't go to the side. Go to the way that you are not going to be hit by the ladder in any way, shape, or form.
Just fucking move. Just move out of the way of the ladder.
It's one of those scenarios, though, if you really were in that situation, if you're already hurt, maybe your brain is impaired enough to not really think.
Not if you have ADHD.
survival mode,
You're true.
y'all.
Yeah,
You're true.
but I also, when they were like, she was hurt by a ladder and we mourn her. And it's like, how did no one like, no, that's not how ladders work.
And how did they have the article out so fast?
Oh, it was, yeah, and it was like her like memorial thing. Like,
Yeah.
time doesn't exist in this.
No.
Wouldn't the autopsy been like, she was hit like 8 times,
And it would have
not
taken like
one.
3 months or something.
And then like, what happens to the creature? They're just like, all right, peace.
The creature's like, bye. She's gone.
So next we have the subway station death, which
With
he
the
already
hermit.
like wasn't like something in his that was Trevor, right? Was that his name?
I don't fucking remember. I think he looks like a Trevor.
He looks like a Trevor.
I'm sorry.
So the Lucas death, like they'd already predicted he was gonna win money, and he wins money. And so I'd be like, okay, maybe I'm gonna listen to this prediction of my like, you know, not following a dude with a lantern, like because he's got the hermit in this train station, which not Boston.
But he doesn't follow the dude with the lantern. He does. So why did he still die?
Because he's a Virgo, so he's naturally curious. Wait, was he the Virgo?
I don't know.
Well, okay, so
he was naturally curious.
It was that he's a rule breaker. I don't remember what his sign was, but it said
so
he's
he
a
went
rule
to, like,
breaker.
an unauthorized area.
But he had to, because the other way was where the lantern was, and you're not
Yeah.
supposed to follow the lantern. So that's not fair. They didn't actually give him an opportunity to go against his fortune, because either way, either he runs to the guy with the lantern, which they said don't do, because he will lead you down a bad path, or he goes to the place he's not supposed to. So I'm sorry if the whole point of it is like, we're giving you the opportunity, this is how you'll die, but it's also the way to survive. Just kidding, you're gonna die either way. And that's, you can't do that already on the second death.
This is when Tony Todd walks out of the darkness and says, you can't escape death.
Yeah, I mean, like, but it was breaking the Final Destination rules. And that's not fair. Like,
Spencer Cohen just needs to go back to the fucking moon because I don't know what the hell he's writing. Like,
go with Samuel Tarly.
I will also say, I thought the train station was creepy.
Yeah.
I thought that, like,
not Boston.
The not Boston train station.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, like, if they said the movie was set in Chicago, I'd be like, no. It was enclosed. Everything they showed us showed that this was an enclosed warehouse. There is a 0 probability that a full speed train came out of nowhere. I'm sorry. Where did that train come from?
The same place where all the people live, because nobody is in that fucking town.
They went... Like, that's just what drew, like, I'm fine. I wanted a crazy train death, but you're in this, like, super creepy yard with a bunch of, like, metal and those creepy ass windows. There were a billion ways he could have died. Having him get hit by the train, which also Final Destination once again, I didn't need it though. There was so many good options to kill him. The train with the blood splatter on the window and the ghost being like, yeah, in there. Like, I didn't need that. I didn't need that.
Yeah, I feel like there's more. I don't know. I'm not a director, but I would assume there's more creative ways to do that.
Yes, there's just using your brain and
using
trying.
your brain. Don't go to ChatGPT.
Like woof. Okay, so Elevator, which was ripped straight out of the Annabelle.
Elevator wasn't next.
What was next?
Bridge was next.
It was Bridge.
I thought they were simultaneous.
No,
he wasn't in the car for the bridge.
He wasn't.
Yeah, he was. And then after he's like, "I'm gonna go."
That's when he
got
leaves.
it. All right, so Bridge death.
Very on the nose, literally over water because she's a Pisces, and it was like, "Don't run," and she ran anyway.
Go swim. The hang.
I actually really liked the car though.
Yes.
Because it's a trope of having a demon thing running under a car, around a car. You can't see it, but you hear it. But using the modern day technology where that there's sensors around modern cars telling you where something is.
Yeah, I always like that.
It was definitely more creative than the rest.
Yeah. Like, have you seen, there's a thing right now where people who have Teslas, and because Tesla shows you like cars that are following you, but it also shows you like
I'd like to say that I don't know anyone who owns a Tesla.
They're creepy as fuck.
But the videos, I like the videos of people showing like, why does it seem like there's a person walking, or like they'll drive by a cemetery and it's the Tesla camera is sensing people around you, but you're in a cemetery and there's no one around. Like, that's a thing with Tesla car that people post all the time. They're like, there is no one here, but my Tesla says that there is a person standing next to my car.
And that is the perfect example of how Skynet and supernatural mysticism combine.
Yeah.
And there are both universes.
So using that in the movie, I thought was really great. I absolutely loved that. And I also thought that the Hanged Man was creepy, I guess.
No.
Did he look like the tarot card, though?
He looked like Gollum.
I thought they needed to show more a little bit, because everything... I don't know about your screen, but it was dark as hell. Like, it was so dark I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see the creatures.
I feel like this movie, it definitely... The use of camera work with the creatures... I'm a big fan of, only show a little bit here or there, but they could have done more, and I think they could have made the creatures move creepier. Everyone kind of felt the same to me.
To the opposite end of that, the creature I thought that they did the best with, but then they went too far in the direction of not showing enough, was the next death, the elevator, the fool. Because I actually really liked him, and then all of a sudden I didn't need him moonwalking on a ceiling. That completely took me out of it. I was just like, okay, now it's funny. Because it was too much. It was too much of him, and he was good. The way that they had, they used the mask and his face just like changing into different masks. I was like, that's super creepy. I liked it. But then, then all of a sudden he's moonwalking and literally like.
Yeah, I like the distance shots of the fool.
And that whole quote unquote death scene was like ripped right out of Annabelle. Like, do you guys remember when she's like in the elevator in the basement and like
first Annabelle,
which is really creepy, and like it actually worked. There's a really creepy scene in I think I get all my Annabelles mixed up. I think it was the first one they did where they moved. It's the one that's kind of Rosemary's Baby, where they moved to the apartment in the city.
Yeah,
and she's like coming up from the basement, and like there's something coming towards her in the door, and she's like, go, and you're with her, you're like, fuck, come come on.
Yeah.
But this I was just like, oh, okay.
I thought so if they had gone a little less with him, he would have been more effective. But then the other demons we didn't get enough of, and they weren't super effective. Like the priestess, I think, was a good amount. They just did too much of that scream shot.
Yeah.
And then the other demons, I was like, I need more.
Yes.
The magician, who is the next one, I actually thought that might have maybe been my favorite presentation of any of the demons.
Yeah, that whole scene, I actually stopped for a second. I was like, okay, I'm here for it until, the execution happened. And then my logical brain was like, that wouldn't have worked because her head needed to be out and her legs needed to be out for the trick to work. Okay.
Well, I don't think the trick was about it working.
I know. Yeah. That's why my brain, I had to stop myself for a second.
But the audience reminded me of Insidious.
Yes.
Well, yes. I wasn't going to say Insidious. I was going to say Dead Silence.
Oh,
yes. I was just like, okay, I get it. Y'all want to be James Wan, but there's only one James Wan, and ChatGPT is not it.
But the audience looked cool, though.
The magician looked cool. The audience was cool.
But also, she's like in a whole other fucking place. Like, those rules didn't apply anywhere else.
Logic. It was very,
but no one else was in Dream Logic.
That's the thing.
Yeah, that's why I'm just like.
So how does she work? Does she just do what she wants to do? Is it because it was a magician, so you could manipulate the atmosphere?
I really liked it, but yeah, you're right. It doesn't fit.
Yeah. No. And I wish that was more of it, like the Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Logic.
If they all did that, I would have been down for it.
If they all went to another location,
so it would make sense. But
damn it, okay.
You're just like, what? You're going to think about it like next month. You're going to sit here like, I thought about it more.
And then we have Six of Swords, which they have, I'm never, ever going to pronounce this woman's name right. It's sort of like, when they find their quint, Alma, what was...
Alma Astrid.
So many
notes.
But
how do you say her real name?
Alwyn. She
is such a goat. Like, I love her in Mandy. I even love her in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the newest iteration. Like, she's so cool, and getting her in your movie is definitely, like, good horror points, but...
It's so hard for me. I need the talking stick.
She, I thought that some of the makeup that which this was CGI, the veining and all that, and the eyes and the bleeding and all that they brought in, like, that's the blend of CGI and practical that I'm okay with, because... putting the red drops in people's eyes to make them like pop. Though again, Final Destination, which is actually
we do that all the time in movies. It's a cheap way to look cool.
Yeah, but I remember that being one of the things that scared me about Final Destination was when the blood, like the asphyxiation didn't bother me, but the blood vessels. I remember that scaring the shit out of me as a child. But I thought that was interesting. But at the same time, why they gave her so little?
Go for it, Elissa.
She should have had more.
Yes. No, yes, both of yours I wrote in the notes. I love her. I can't pronounce her name, but I'm so here for an older woman in her 60s, however old she is, 70s, I don't know. But I love watching her and everything, and I want her to be a final girl. I want her to be the lead in something because she's amazing, and I love her presence. Every time she's in a movie, I feel like she's wasted because except for Mandy, she's cool Mandy, but like she shows up, she's like, I'm here and I'm a very strong presence, but I'm going to be killed off unceremoniously. And on the tarot side, her death bothered me so much because it was the Six of Swords, which the tarot meaning of the Six of Swords is regretfully having to move on from something to somewhere else. But the way she got killed, this is so nitpicky and this is such a nerd thing. It was the Ten of Swords card. The way she got killed was the Ten of Swords because all the swords are in the back. The card imagery is somebody laying down on the back. And it made way more sense for the character because it's about an ending, just putting something like so much time into something emotionally invested and then just like it's ending and just you can't. Anyway, sorry, tangent.
So it should have been the 10 instead of the 6 is what you're saying. It should have been the 10.
Okay. I mean, I guess the 6 could work, but the way the imagery, according to the Rider-Waite deck, the imagery made more sense in the card than showing the 6 and saying, oh, you're moving on and to be better. And it's the middle of the cycle. You're moving on. The 10 is an end. She died. Like, it's the end.
Yeah, because she didn't get to move on from the fact that her friends died. She never moved on. That was her whole life.
So, question. Do you guys think that the writer-directors actually researched tarot cards?
I struggle.
Enough.
I struggle. That's what I think. That's why I call it TikTok tarot, because
it feels very base level to me. Like, even me as like someone who doesn't know a ton. Like, I know what a Celtic cross is. I know the meanings of the bigger cards. I feel like I'm just like, You guys,
Well, and
just try harder. Just someone gave you a lot of money to make this movie.
That's my big. It could have been so much more. And what gets me is that I will never, ever, ever admit to know everything about tarot, be all and all, because I'm absolutely not at all. I've got a lot to learn. But it just bugs me because this is so preliminary, and I feel so douchey saying that. But it just feels like it's basic bitch tarot, and I'm sorry, but if that's how you're introduced to it and you're interested in it, that's cool. Explore that. Please keep going. But if that's all you know and that's all you think it is and that's what you're going on, there's so much more.
Well, it's also about making it accessible for an audience, because an
That's the
audience,
thing.
I think that the cards were more than most people know.
Yes.
So, okay, we've still got a couple more monsters, and so we've got the devil and death. They're closing in at the same time.
Did the devil even get shown?
Yeah,
He got shown as like
shown.
he was turning a corner. He came out and he was, hello.
How did...
Yeah, he was like
know how I
he
missed
was
that.
chasing the boyfriend, and then the main girl had the death wasn't really. It was more like a zombie type thing.
I liked
See, I
his,
thought they were the same.
What was his mouth? His mouth was not insidious, sinister. His mouth was
Yeah.
the sinister demon.
The...
I guess it was okay. I mean, that was my least favorite. I thought that was the least interesting of the cards, except for the fact that I really liked his little foot peeking out. His little,
His little
little boop, little foot and some blood. Like,
little dancer point.
yeah. So he's gonna have his own Wikipedia.
Oh.
What's it called?
WikiFeet.
Wiki
He's
feet.
entered WikiFeet.
Yeah, the devil's gonna have his own little wiki feet with that little toe touch in there, that little sassy toe.
Yeah, we have the devil coming. We've got death coming, and then we've got Haley trying to get back to the astrologer to read her cards to curse her.
Reverse the curse.
Reverse
Yeah.
the curse. And like
Reverse
they're
the curse.
approaching them at the same time. It gets a little muddy there.
I mean, yeah, it all goes back to, if you want to call it a metaphor, I don't know what it is, but it's all the roundabout thing about grief, I guess, which I know that you mentioned did we already mention that in the episode?
No,
or did you say a side
the
note of
dead
it?
mom
Yeah.
that came out of freaking nowhere.
Just to add for to call back later of, oh, I know, I could connect with, that's how I connected with the cards. I'm sure that's how a lot of people do, but
She
wrong
also
place and time.
wears her mom's hospital.
I'm sorry,
thing.
I would never wear my dad's hospital bracelet.
That actually really bothered me. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know maybe that bothered me, and I think in some ways it's going to bother other people who it touches, like they feel like a personal issue with, and that's, horror is subjective and everything's subjective, but also grieving is subjective. Everyone grieves differently. We can't say that there isn't someone who did that. I think it just, for some odd reason, that it hurt me specifically.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Well, and I think one thing that I can be sensitive to is if someone is trying to tap in to something that is traumatic for many people and they're doing it inauthentically, it upsets me.
I love this because we are all touching on notes that I think we've all wrote in some form or another, because the biggest pet peeve is that a lot of horror movies of the recent times kind of pull the heartstrings, grieving card, which it works plot device wise in a lot of ways, but when it doesn't and you just kind of shoehorn it in, if it's a part of the plot, if it's a inciting incident, or if it's something that propels the plot forward, it's there for a purpose. I get it. I get it.
But it just, when it doesn't work, or it feels a little exploitive, and that's when people have these visceral reactions.
Exploitive. Yeah, I think exploitive is the word, and that's all I will say on that.
I guess for me, it's not even about the bracelet. It's the fact that they really didn't introduce this or make it a part of the plot into the last 5 minutes, really. Right. And the same with like they never really get into why she broke up with this guy, even though she obviously still likes him. And then she's just like, I was never meant to have love. Why, bitch? Why?
I thought that was going to come into a way bigger thing, where she was going to die having to save him, and that's why death would be the
because when they showed the cards, they briefly showed the lovers into the death, which the lovers is the inverse kind of the devil card.
Yeah,
and that didn't come into play. But I think they tried to play it off like the comedic scene of I think he's not ambitious enough, and he's like, I'm too ambitious.
But also that. They could have done that. I expected that, but I would have preferred that, where she has to make a sacrifice and she's going to die because she actually loves him. That would have made sense. I think that they had where I see where you guys are saying the ChatGPT, because so many of these things are introduced with no payoff.
Exactly. And that's what's
Right.
frustrating.
And also the first even scene when they get the tarot deck, it looks like they're talking out of a commercial of like what ChatGPT
Right?
says.
Like it feels,
How do you define tarot?
so rushed, or like I was just like, is this a bad edit? Is this just honestly, you know what I think it comes down to, guys? I don't think that either of these filmmakers ever set out to make a good movie. They set out to make a paint by the numbers horror movie.
Maybe to raise money for a future project.
No, I think that
Which
they just
did.
I mean,
go.
yeah, they made they did not flop, but they didn't set out to make a great movie. They set out to make something safe. They set out to paint by numbers, to be like, okay, we've got this, we've got that, we've got a little Final Destination, we've got James Wan, we've got some 13 Ghosts. Let's just throw it all in and make our Chat GPT fucking candy salad. Like, it's so, and that's disappointing because you know how hard it is to get money to make a freaking movie, and these people just squandered that, and that's
I feel like it could just, if the
Woof.
thought and the
Anyway.
and the passion got into it, it could have been on something.
It is
different.
very difficult to make something wholly original.
Right.
Because so many things have been made, and we have spin-offs, we have reboots. So a tarot movie like this, no, it hasn't been done before. I'm not saying that they did it in the best way. Like, they had a really, really good premise. And I think if they had an opportunity to make something super, super awesome, but I do agree with you, they went the safe route.
Yes.
But if they had made the movie this should have been based on the premise, I think this could have been wholly effective, absolutely terrifying. Just if they had just made the movie that the cards literally dealt with those monsters and having each death be unique, but what we got was repetitive deaths, hidden monsters, and people that, like we talked about earlier, we didn't care about them. It's not that they like it was saying like, oh, were they real, were they not? The ending is that we didn't care. I didn't care if they survived.
And that's the big rule. That is the number one holy rule of horror. You got to care to scare.
Yeah.
And if you don't give a fuck about any of these people, then their deaths are meaningless. It's just fodder, which is fine once or twice in a movie. But when it's your main characters, when it's the whole cast, you're like, okay, cool. When is this over so I can go home?
Right. And that works on both ends of the spectrum. People you don't want to die and people that you can't wait to die too.
Yeah,
exactly.
I love the people where I'm like, oh God, I just want them to die, and then they die, and I'm like, yeah.
Like, you wanted to have the asshole in
Yes.
here and he wasn't here. But that also
Paris
makes me
Hilton, House
think-
of Wax.
I love
Oh,
that
the
so
whole
much.
movie, we're all
And
just
that
like, she's
yes.
gonna have the funnest death,
Yes.
and she had a great death.
And that was literally the promo for the movie
Watch
too.
Paris die.
They were like,
Yeah.
watch Paris die. But that makes me think, do you, I don't know how it works. Do you set out to make a PG-13 horror movie, or does the
I believe in
MPAA?
this case they did. I
Okay.
believe everything about this movie was made to make money in theaters.
So
And
get the most audience they could.
it felt like a money grab movie. It felt, you know, I keep saying Jeff Wadlow, but his movies to me for Blumhouse feel similar to this, where it's lackluster, it's whatever, but they bring in audiences, they make money for the studios, and that's what it is. Maybe it's a slumber party movie for the generations under us. I don't know. I personally, it doesn't feel like there's any longevity. When writing notes, I had to write a little thing beside each character to remember who they were because they were so unmemorable. Yeah. Like, this isn't a movie I'm going to think about again after today. This isn't a movie I'm ever going to watch again. Good for them for making something cool.
I just really hope it doesn't perpetuate the tarot stereotype, but I hope not enough people.
No, I mean, it's one of those things. It's like the Ouija movies. I mean, which I actually think are much better than this. But it's, you know, I'm not saying tarot's a game, but it's there as like some sort of IP, basically.
For the younger people and for, exactly. As
Yes.
a topic, it's,
Yeah. But I mean, no matter what, it was made, it existed, it made its money, it did what it was supposed to. I guess it did what it was supposed to do. But
part two.
Oh yeah, that's coming.
They are definitely going to
That's
do part
there.
two. But I think that it is the way that we've been like against AI and against all this. It does feel like these are the things is that we champion against is how many times are there going to be really, really good ideas that don't pan out, and I would rather a movie not pan out because they couldn't afford the effects budget, because they couldn't afford the production that they needed to, or because, you know, maybe it got put into the wrong hands based on like the vision, and if a different vision happened. I would much rather a movie not work for any of those reasons than for a movie to not work because I feel like they didn't care.
Exactly. And I will always go back to WNUF for all that they did with the budget, because that's a movie. That's something I want to watch.
Exactly. And it's like, for me, as long as you're trying, as long as you're being creative, as long as you're taking that opportunity that so many people want and so few get and trying to make something with it instead of just making something to collect a paycheck.
Because creativity translates through the screen.
Exactly.
You can see someone's passion if they put it into it. You may not like it, but you can see it.
Yeah.
So
and that's the sin of this movie.
The curse, you might mean?
The curse
of this movie?
We're all gonna show up at the director's house like as like creatures like
wait, has
oh, the like
everyone do that without blowing the mic out. Everyone do their best. Brandon Haley. Oh my gosh. He
was such a good monster. All right, guys. Well, that to me feels like our episode.
Yep. That's our first episode of Mystic May.
And I'm
Mystic
glad
May.
We're cutting it off now because I think I needed like a cane to pull me off. Yeah. Oh God, no one understands that anymore. That's really sad.
Tell us what you thought about the movie after you've seen it. I'm not sure how long it's going to have a theatrical run or where it's going to go after this. So it's Sony, so it could Paramount most likely, right?
Yeah,
I think streaming's going to be September. I think.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. I think they're gonna. This is going to be a theatrical for a little bit.
Okay.
June, I think, is where you can rent it online, is what I saw. But
Okay. So you might have to wait unless you want to go see it in theaters. But make sure to comment on the social media platform of your choice that you are watching / listening to this, and let us know what you thought of the movie after you see it, because obviously we had some really strong opinions. So it's great to hear other strong opinions as well.
I'd love to hear.
Yeah, even if you liked it, tell us why you liked it, so maybe we can like it a little more.
And I'd love to hear if there are any tarot readers out there, astrologers, please school me, tell me your opinions. I'd love to connect. That was the nerdiest thing I've ever done in my life.
And make sure, if you like this episode, make sure to join our Patreon, because you can see a longer version of it along with bonus episodes and other fun stuff.
So yeah, like, subscribe, click the bell, so you know next time we have another movie that we're going to dissect, tear apart.
Next week we will have another slumber party to join. So look out for the next week's theme, which we don't reveal yet, do we?
No,
Nope.
but it's going to be really fun. I promise.
We're all really
Very
excited
fun.
for this next episode. So
This one is
out.
like from our youths.
Yeah. Youths. But until next time, sweet screams.
Wait.
You could say it again. You could say it.
Oh, I didn't know if there was anything after that.
No.
Sweet street.
Sweet screams, Pillow Frighters.
Sweet, squeak.
I can't say it. I don't write things for myself to say.
It's okay. We ended. I thought you just did.
So until next time, sweet screams, Pillow Frighters.